there's gotta be someone, you know, just sort of like read what booktubers recommend, and I decided that person gonna be me. This is an idea that I have in mind. You know how like we have booktubers, they do like celebrity book club in which they read celebrity recommendations. But then I think that no one has ever made booktubers book club. There's gotta be someone, you know, just sort of like read what booktubers recommend, and I decided that person gonna be me. One of my favorite booktubers is uncarley. I love her so much. There's something about her, you know, she has this sort of like unbothered vibe to her. And I strive to be her. Hot girls with hot girls recommendations. So here we have some books that I have because uncarley told me to. We have Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, Fleabag, the NHB, the special edition, Slow Days, Fast Company by Babbits. This is another book that she always talks about. This is The Great Gatsby by f.scott, Fitzgerald. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle, zhevin. I love this book. I love this book so much. I read it before she even recommended it, so it's like, oh, there's a bit of like a similarities over there. That's how I know that we could actually be best friends. The parasocial relationship is parasocializing. This book is about these two kids, Sam and Sadie. They met at the hospital when they were really small. They bonded through their shared love of games. After that, something happened which caused them to sort of like drift apart. But like one day when they were like 20-ish, they spotted each other on a very busy subway station, and then the friendship started to rekindle, and then they decided to make games together. I feel like it's just a love letter for every creative person, especially on the shared love, like, but especially sorry, I drank some coffee and then I'm like a little bit all over the place because like the caffeine is kicking in, but especially on creative collaboration and also like love that you have when you create something together. This book is about love, people, and art, and the relationship between all of them. People create art because of love, and people fall in love because of art. The love that people have for art, to share and to create art together, is an ultimate form of love. This book is filled with love. You follow like their friendship like over a few years. It's so amazing like how despite the timeline is sort of like jumping all over, you still can remember all of them because the author is just very, very dedicated to the storytelling that she wants to do. You can also feel like the trust that I know my readers can pick this up, because sometimes she would do like, she mentioned this on page 22, it's like sort of really briefly, and the character would mention this again like somewhere in page 400, but like, you're like, oh my god, like I remember you talking about this, I know about this. You form sort of like a relationship with all of the characters because you know all of their deepest, darkest secrets and all of their histories. The author really, really utilized the fact that people's attention spans are getting shorter, and so she just sort of like make use of this by just like changing narrative styles or maybe changing perspectives, and she does this very, very seamlessly as well. One thing I would say about this book is that I wish we're given more of the happy moments of between Sam and Sadie, and this book focuses a lot on the sad moments. Definitely do check the trigger warnings of this book because it is actually quite triggering and I wasn't expecting it. I would also recommend probably going on Storygraph and TikTok. The next one we're going to talk about that uncarley has also recommended and I picked up because uncarley recommended it is Fleabag the Play, NHB Obnoxious Pink cover, the special edition one. If it weren't for uncarley, I wouldn't picked up the play one because I've been wanting to buy Fleabag the scripture for quite a while, as in like the TV show. Fleabag is about this girl who's grieving for the loss of her best friend. Basically, she's grieving and coping with it in like very destructive ways. She just decided to just say fuck it and just do whatever she wants, but you can tell that she knows that nothing she's doing is giving her the escapism that she wants. This book starts with interviews and conversations with people who have worked on Fleabag the Play and Fleabag the TV show. You're given an insight into how much a labor of love Fleabag is, and it's not just labor of love, but it's also like the everything that went into Fleabag, because they all see themselves as potential Fleabags. It's just there's this part in the book that basically said, but you and I just saw her as we see each other, as someone who we could easily become if we went down a slightly different road or had our hearts broken in the way she did. She is desperately trying to convince the audience that she is fine and in control, but the truth is she lost her best friend and no longer has anyone who understands her in the world. One thing that really sets apart Fleabag as, you know, as a play and also as a TV show is because the break of the fourth wall. Because one of the main points that Phoebe Waller-Bridge wanted to do is she wants the audience to have like an intimate relationship with Fleabag, like occasionally just sort of like talking to us. So we have a secret friendship with Fleabag. You feel her happiness, you feel her sadness, you feel her grief, because she just wants to be funny, because she just thinks everything is a performance. That's why she talks to us. That's why she's doing this play. If you're a creative person, definitely do pick up Fleabag because of their creative insights here. It's just amazing like how dedicated they are to the storytelling. I keep on saying that. Something about writers, something about people who create. I just have like an infinite deep fascination and respect just like being dedicated to your art. There's so many things that I learned from this book. It's just like a love letter for the audience. How to reel audience in and how to disarm them. How to make the audience love and hate a character. How to make the audience feel like they're all potential Fleabag. This book is a nod to women and the shackles of womanhood. You're given a chance to live vicariously through this deranged character who just continuously fucking up, but she just wants but she's trying so hard. She's trying so hard to be better. An older woman actually like say it to an usher after the show, please let her know that she's not alone. And it's like, we're all just women in the shackles of womanhood. We're all just potential Fleabags and we're all trying so hard. So much to uncarley for, you know, opening my eyes to this gem of a book, because I definitely would have gotten the scripture one if not for her influence.
I feel like a deer in the headlights of love.
I finished Lowday's Fast Company by Babbits and also The Great Gatsby by f.scott Fitzgerald. And let's talk about Lowday's Fast Company by Babbits first. This book, it was a chore to read. It's literally like a very short book, but I was struggling reading this book. I mean, well, don't get me wrong, like her writing, she's funny, she's witty. What's most interesting about her writing is that she just do this very acute and astute observations on society, and every single time it just sort of like hit you in the heart. But the main issue of the book still stand at the fact that this was a chore to read. And frankly, like most of the time when she talks about like how much she loves LA, she can sell a city, she romanticized the fuck out of LA, and she still acknowledged that LA is such a deeply flawed city, but she still loves it. But like at the end of the day, I still don't care. Maybe because I just couldn't care about LA in general, and despite her amount of love towards LA, it doesn't really persuade me to sort of like see LA in a better light. I wouldn't go out of my way to recommend this book, and I rated this 3 stars, but it wasn't like boring 3 stars. It was like it has its ups and downs. 3 stars. Halfway through the book, sometimes I just feel like I want to stop reading. But there are actually quite a few parts in the book that I'm like, what? Like this woman really just be saying things and it hits you. There's this part about women and waitressing. Deep down inside, every woman is a waitress. The act of waitressing is a solace. It's got everything you could ask for: confusion, panic, humility, and food. And I'm just like, how? No, and the fact that I was also a waitress at one point, and just like, I don't know, man. This is another part as well that is about getting married. A long time ago, my mother and I were driving to a wedding. I had been engaged to both the groom and the best man at one time or another. I was 23, a clerk typist by the day, and a groupie adventuress prowling the hot Sunset Strip at night. I'd broken off with both of those guys because I was impatient with ordinary sunsets. I was sure that somewhere a grandiose carnival was going on in the sky and I was missing it. But still, it made me feel funny having those guys slip away like that. I wonder, I said to my mother, if I'll ever get married. Well, if you do, she said, marry someone you don't mind. The only other piece of advice she gave me on the subject was to tell me that because I love garlic so much, I had better marry an Italian. Or someone, dear, who likes garlic as much as you do. Over the years, I not only gave up the idea of finding an Italian I didn't mind, I gave up the idea of finding anyone I didn't mind. But I was still sure there was a grandiose golden sunset somewhere in the sky. What like I said, I love the writing. I love all of her observations of society and all the things that she writes. But the only problem with this book is that it was a chore to go through. I wasn't really clear about why this book was a chore to go through. So this book is essentially a collection of love letters to various people until she met the one. And much like when you read short stories collection or like essays collections, there will be ones that you like and ones that you don't like. Like my experience reading short stories collection or like essays collection, there will be like one, basically like I will have like a few that I like them as a whole, but like my experience with this book is that there is no specific love letter that I enjoyed, and mostly it's like certain parts in the love letters rather than the love letters as a whole. Hence why I describe this book as a 3 stars ups and downs. Ultimately, I do acknowledge that part of the reason why it was sort of like unsatisfactory to me because I approached this book with high expectations. This is one of the if babbits books that uncarley always mentioned on her channel other than Sex and Rage. So my experience with this book might be more of a reflection of my high expectations not being met rather than this book was a chore. Is that a word? That's not a word. Read. So the next book is The Great Gatsby by f.scott Fitzgerald, and this was a classic for a reason. I give this a 3.5 stars, but if I'm gonna be honest, it's more like a 4 stars, but I'm not gonna let this man who plagiarized so many of his wife's work that I am actually moved by his work. Oh, this is one part that I do want to talk about. So this one is about like when Daisy found out that the child she was bearing is a girl, and she wept. She was just like really, really sad, and she said, "She told me it was a girl, and so I turned my head away and wept." "All right," I said. "I'm glad it's a girl, and I hope she'll be a fool. That's the best thing a girl can be in this world. A beautiful little fool." And I'm just like, you cannot, there's no way a man wrote that. And so I went down this sort of like a rabbit hole. Who wrote The Great Gatsby actually? Who wrote it? Is it Zelda or is it f.scott? And unfortunately for all of us, it's actually Francis, like f.scott Fitzgerald actually wrote this entire book, and it's not like Zelda's work and he plagiarized it. It was like that one and a few other parts in the book. That part specifically is actually Zelda's, and I'm just like, yes, I am right once again. There's literally no way a man can have that observation about womanhood. This part was so insane to me, and why is like so memorable to me was we were given an insight to like how Daisy is actually like when she let her mask down. We were given an insight, we were given a peek that Daisy isn't as dumb as we, slash the people in her life, thought she was. And she is probably just sort of like performing this role of a dumb, blonde, pretty wife. You know, this became increasingly evident as well when we got to know like how and why she got together with her husband, despite probably knowing fully well like her heart is with Gatsby. And because despite coming from a rich family herself, she recognizes that marriage is ultimately an economic proposition. And so when she wept and when she said those words, in a way she's saying, my daughter will inevitably have to experience what I experienced and will forever be chained by the performance of womanhood. When we read the book, she is still very much, I think she's still very much Gatsby manic pixie dream girl, but we were given like a peek that, you know, she's probably isn't like as flat as like what Gatsby sort of like portrays her to be. So many days and so many nights have passed, but I just couldn't stop thinking about like Gatsby, you know. It's so sad. One thing that nobody warned me about this book is that how much of a depressing read it was. We're reading this book from the perspective of Nick Carraway, and it's told in retrospectives. So he just tells all of this like great parties that are going on, like in this very disdain voice. He just looks down on everything. But when I watched the movie, because I've never watched the movie actually, and when I watched the movie, and it's like, oh, that's not what I imagined at all. Because, you know, Nick is just depressed, man. Major homo vibes though. Like if Daisy was Gatsby manic pixie dream girl, Gatsby was Nick's manic pixie dream girl. I don't know, I cannot stop thinking about the ending. And it's just like about like how rich people, and especially people with like inherited wealth, do we just get away with things because they're rich. They can do literally anything they want. They can just like escape it. One of the great things that I like about reading classics is that this collection of books have been read by so many people, and they have been analyzed and critically analyzed by so many people, and so many people have like dissect every part of the book, and it's just to see like a collective of people who has so much love for this piece of literature. I can't lie, the part of the reason why I was able to sort of like really understand and actually enjoy the message of The Great Gatsby was because I watched John Green's videos, because at the end of the day I'm not American. I did not understand the American dream. But anyways, that's really all of the books. I would say like out of the 4 books that I read, what impacted me the most is Tomorrow and Tomorrow Tomorrow was a book that I already read before uncarley even recommended it, so that doesn't really count. Fleabag, The Play Script, and also The Great Gatsby is what impacted me the most. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know if you do want me to pick up any booktubers or any booktokers book you would like me to read. Have a lovely day. Bye. Mwah.